Back on now. All right, and we're back.
Yay.
Yeah, sorry about that. My computer had an aneurysm and my video stuff cut out. So we're going to talk about one more game and then we'll go to the game draft.
I'll do
Nintendo, I think it was last week. Also, it was on the same day that Curse of the Moon came out. They put out a demo for
the presentation
Sushi Striker,
of the game,
which is a puzzle game on the Nintendo Switch and the 3DS.
The voice acting
and
the story.
It's really going into it,
but
I've
it
had
really does add a lot to the
about
game.
The price relative to the kind of game
a
that
lot
it
more
is.
invested in the story. If
Because
anything, I'm
it's
more
like
invested
$50
in that
US,
side of the
$65
game
Canadian.
than the puzzle game
And
part.
it looks like
Not
an
to say that the
iOS
puzzle game
level
part is
puzzle
bad.
game. Like,
But
it's kind of a shame
I
how
think the puzzle
games have been
little
greatly devalued in
straightforward
modern
and a little
times
too
because of the mobile
dependent on
space.
chance.
But
I think
just looking at
there, like
screenshots
the
and
conveyor belts
video,
are moving
super
like,
how
fast,
do you justify
and
the cost?
it's
of
hard
this
to
game?
get a read on.
And
if
when
I'm
you play
gonna
the demo
hold
and then
down,
realize you're playing it
gonna
for
grab
5
this
minutes
salmon,
and the other 55
which has
minutes
like 3
are just
pieces and then
cutscenes.
nothing else comes
You can
out.
see like, oh, this is
I'm
where the
super
production
sure.
value went.
So,
So it is
there's
hella
a lot of
anime.
chance in terms of
Man,
like,
it's got just like
what's good and
full
what's not.
animated
I guess you
cutscenes with crazy
just kinda grab what
anime
you
music.
can.
And it looks
And then
really
on top
good.
of that,
and I actually
the
really
other thing
like
that kind
the
of bugs
story
me
behind the game.
is the controller.
So
So
the game
there are
starts
moments
with in a
where
world with no fish.
you're trying to move to a specific
So,
spot, and
it's this whole
it's
universe
hard to get
where
to
sushi is the
on
most
the analog stick. I feel
coveted
like
food in
because
the world.
this game was
and
originally
there was-
designed for the
there's an
Nintendo
empire
3DS,
that's trying to
being able
control
to
all
use
the sushi, and the
a
Republic
stylus
wanted
and
to
just
share the sushi
drag
with people.
would
Your main
work way
character's
better.
parents
That
supposedly
said, you
died
can do
in
that
the
on the
Great
Switch.
Sushi
It
War.
does have touch
The sushi
screen
struggle,
controls, but
and he or she
then
just
you're
like
smudging your
despises
finger
sushi.
around. There's
and
more
then
friction.
one
you're
day
leaving
he or
fingerprints
she
all
was
over
very
your
hungry,
screen.
and
And
you
I
run
just don't think
into
it
this
would be
guy
as precise
who's
or as fast
a sushi
as
striker,
a stylus.
and he's like,
So-
"Hey kid, I'm gonna."
Those are some
I can-
things to
if
know.
you keep
Also,
this a
price,
secret, I
like,
will let you try some sushi.
I'm sure,
And
well, I wouldn't say I'm sure.
you end
but
up trying some sushi and think it's
clear
the
that
greatest thing
Nintendo
ever.
is doing a
And
lot
just
to
as
try
that
and
happens,
justify
the
the
Empire
price point.
comes and they
I
beat
think
him up and
that
kidnap
puzzle
him.
games
And
over
you're
the
like, I'm
last
gonna
few
go
years
save
have
him.
been
And
really
then there's
devalued
these. So as
because
you can see,
of
there's that animal
what's
there.
happened in the
It is a
mobile
sushi
scene.
sprite, which helps control sushi and
And
also gives you sushi
They've
striking
added
powers.
RPG elements.
And
They've
so,
added these cutscenes.
You actually
all
then,
of
with
the
their
story
powers,
stuff
you
to
go
kind
and
of
fight people
bring up
with sushi.
justify the price.
It sounds
and
amazing.
Wow.
So it's a really elaborate
That's-
story, and I want to know where
I
it
think
goes.
if it was,
Yeah.
But as for the
a-
gameplay,
like,
what
it's
you're trying to
fun.
do is
I-
match
if it was a better puzzle
color
game,
plates
I would
or
be
like
more
sushi. So
more
you'll
inclined
start
to
on a
pick
plate,
this up.
and then
maybe
you'll
the two
kind of
players
move your
amazing.
cursor
Maybe
around
the
to
story
grab
goes on
multiple
for 80
plates,
hours
which
and it's amazing
create
all the way
stacks of
through.
plates on your table.
It's still the demo.
And from
I
there,
don't
you are
know.
then throwing the
I
plates
think
at your
launch,
opponent, trying to knock out their health bar.
I don't think I'm gonna pick
Fair
this one
enough.
up at
Yeah.
launch.
Do they
but
have to be like
I am
touching or
curious
what?
to
What do you
see
mean, do
where
they
it
have to be
goes,
oh, the
and
plates
Like
have
the
to
same
have.
color
I would
plates?
definitely. pick
Yes,
this
they
up.
have to be
This
either
is
directly
fun,
beside each other or have a
and
clear path from one
enjoyable,
plate
and
to the
maybe
next.
doesn't
So
necessarily.
you can
have
hop
the
lanes
level
if
of
there's no sushi in the
precision.
middle.
I would want out of
Okay.
a puzzle game, but
And then
maybe
you
I'll
also
get
have a
into it
super
and just
bar,
play it for fun
which
against
is
the
tied
computer,
to
and
whichever
I
sort
don't know if I
of
would become a
sushi sprite you
competitive
have.
Sushi Strike player
So the
online,
ones you get
but
in the
that
demo,
would be
one of
fun,
them
too.
turns all of them the same color, so you can just drag across and get all of the sushi in one go. And then the other one like turns everything into candy, and then you eat it up to replenish your health.
I'll
Sushi
do
and
like
candy.
a quick rundown
Delicious.
here of
Yeah.
what I think so far.
Yeah.
So
I played it for about
I-
30 seconds, and I was
I
like,
love
I
the
might play this
presentation
on my
of the game.
phone. So I was playing in
The
handheld mode on the
anime
Switch and
look
handheld mode,
and the
and when I was
voice
like, oh, it's all
acting
touchscreen
and the
stuff.
story.
And then I played
It's
for
really
about,
silly,
maybe a
but
minute.
it really does add a
Like
lot
through
to the game.
some of the
It
tutorial, I'm
makes
just
me
like,
feel
a
a
no
lot more
thanks.
invested
I
in the
don't.
story.
I'm glad I
If
didn't
anything,
pay
I'm more
$50 for it.
invested in that side of the game.
I-
than
Oh
the
god,
puzzle game
$50.
part.
Yeah, it's
Not to say that the
I will
puzzle game
say
part
it,
is
it's
bad,
fun,
but
but
I think
there's
the puzzle
definitely
game is a
control
little
issues if you're
too
playing it with the
straightforward and a
analog
little
stick
too
and
dependent on chance.
The buttons.
I think just
like,
sitting
trying
there,
to
like
precisely
the
get
conveyor
to the
belts are
sushi you
moving
want
super
can be
fast,
tough.
and
It definitely
it's
plays
hard
better
to get
on
a read
touchscreen,
on.
but
If
then
I'm
again,
gonna
you're
hold
playing
down,
with your finger,
I'm gonna
versus
grab
on the
this
3DS,
salmon,
where it's also coming out,
which
you're
has
playing
like
with a
3
stylus, which
pieces,
is a
and
lot
then
more
nothing else
natural
comes
to
out,
kinda
then you're
zip through all the
kind of
plates.
screwed.
So
I do
my
feel
other
like there's
concern
a
is
lot
that
of
it
chance
feels a
in
little
terms of, like,
too random
what's good and what's not.
frenetic.
I
It's
guess
just
you
kind of
just
like,
kinda grab what you can.
there's a sushi, I'm gonna like grab
And
this
then
one.
on top of that,
Please God,
the
hope
other thing that
there's
kinda bugs
other
me
ones of that kind
is the
coming
controller.
along
Yeah,
with plates. So
And there are
Yeah,
moments
yeah.
where
I'd much prefer
you're trying to
competitive
move to a
puzzle
specific
games
spot,
where I feel like I have
and
more control.
it's hard to get
over
to
what the
on the
playboard
analog
is
stick.
like.
I feel like
And that's
because this game was originally
not
designed
really
for the
what this
Nintendo
game is trying to
3DS,
do.
being able to use your
Yeah.
So
a stylus and just
So it's not
drag
going to dethrone
would work
Puyo
way better.
Tetris or whatever.
No.
That said, you
I
can do
think
that on
that's
the
probably
Switch.
still
It does
the
have
premier
touch
puzzle game to
screen
get on the
controls,
Nintendo
but
Switch. then
Good
you're
to know.
smudging your finger around. I feel
There's
like
more
if this was
friction,
like
you're leaving fingerprints all over your
$20,
screen.
I would check
and
it
I just
out
don't
because I
think it
want to
would
know
be
where the
as
story
precise
goes.
or as fast
And
as
maybe
Stylus.
the 2-player competitive
So-
play is amazing. Those are some things to
Yeah.
note. Also, the
But
price. I think
maybe.
the demo
I'm
has done enough
sure-
to make me go.
well,
"Ah,
I wouldn't say I'm
I think
sure,
I can
but-
wait." It's clear that
Mhm.
Nintendo's doing a lot to try and justify the price point.
I mean, it looks
I think
delicious.
that puzzle games
That's-
over the
yeah,
last
true.
few years have been
Um,
really devalued.
I don't
because
actually eat
of
sushi though, so
what's
I can't.
happened in the mobile
say.
Oh,
space.
what? God,
I
that's so sad to hear.
I'm largely allergic to seafood, so I kind of avoid it
Oh.
wholesale.
So sad. So sad.
JJ, do you eat sushi?
I have never tried sushi.
Oh my
Okay.
God, what are you guys doing?
First Bioshock, now sushi.
Yeah, I know. God, 1 and 2 in a row.
I keep meaning to, but I'm not a big seafood fan. But I keep hearing I should at least try it. So one of these days.
You should.
Yeah.
We had poke yesterday, which is essentially sushi, and then we're getting sushi I think on Friday because
Oh, wow.
it is life.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let's move
Right.
on to
For this.
the big show. But the
Cool.
first things first, we have to do. We're not supposed to see that.
Oh,
We're going
God,
to
oh, God.
we're going to do a draw to see who goes first in the
Okay,
Great Nintendo
okay.
64 draft. So
Oh boy.
let's type in some names here. This is the All J show. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah, that's why I
All right,
signed it.
here we go.
Sorry, Matt. Yeah.
Drum roll. Random. All right, so it's gonna go Jason, me, then JJ.
Already.
Jesus. Okay.
Okay. Let me.
I'm gonna trade my first round pick for a 2019 first round pick.
Okay, hold up. I gotta. You guys vamp for a sec. I have to change out the layout here.
Oh my God, I was like when Jet talked about the idea earlier, I was like, oh, it's so cool. And then I was thinking of all the games I want, but like, man, I don't know what y'all are gonna pick. So like, if I can only get mine, I'm like, oh, what is it gonna be? And then I know one of you guys is gonna pick one of the games. I'm gonna be pissed. So
Oh man,
Yeah.
let's see how it goes.
JJ's.
And like,
Sorry,
huh?
continue.
Oh, did it mess up? Yeah.
That
Continue.
was my
Oh yeah.
face gone again.
I also like we have our outline, and I noticed that like Jet hasn't put his names on there, so I don't know what he's gonna pick.
Yeah.
I feel like he has an advantage because he can just see what we're gonna
You could
pick.
see. Yeah. I only put mine because I saw you put yours. So I'm like, I'll put
Yeah.
mine, I guess.
Yeah, well, I typed my outline like, oh, I think I put in the parentheses, I'll pick 10 games just in case y'all pick some more. But then
Yeah.
I ended up writing like 20 on there, so I'm like, so I
Yeah.
got rid of some. I was like, oh, that's good enough. So I kept some random ones on there, which I'm sure no one else will pick. Those are my safe bets.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I've got all my games and my alternates on my phone right now.
Sure, Jet,
so...
whatever. You have an advantage.
You guys shouldn't have put. Hold on. I'm trying to find the video source for JJ's head. This is killing me right now. Okay, hold on. Let's do this. I'm gonna
There we are.
copy this and paste this here, and we're gonna remove this,
Boom.
Got it.
and we're gonna run this all the way back. And
You're a wizard, Jet.
Mm-hmm.
if you guys are watching this after the fact on Facebook or on YouTube or on Twitch, you're not gonna see any of this stuff.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, what are they talking about?
Yeah. Okay, I think we are. Oh no, I have all my games on my phone, and my phone is almost dead. So
Oh
I
my.
might have to
Write it
win
down.
this.
Pen and paper. Pen and paper.
Okay. Here we go. All right, so this is the Nintendo 64 draft. What's going on here is that the CEO of Nintendo, it's the new CEO. I can't remember his name. Do you guys know his name by chance?
Nope.
Sorry.
Okay, so
He's the young guy.
yeah, the young guy.
Yeah.
That's all I know him
That's what I
as.
remember too.
So
Young guy.
we work at Nintendo, and he's come up to us and said, hey, we are building a Nintendo 64 Classic, which is rumored to be happening, and that's why we're having this episode right now, because Nintendo's recently updated their trademarks for all of their Nintendo 64 related stuff.
Mhm.
And so he said, go build me a Nintendo 64 Classic. I don't know which games because I just got to Nintendo. So us three run into the archives. They've only got one copy of each game. And we are going to try and grab 5 or 6 games each. And we're going to see who has the best contribution to the Nintendo 64 Classic.
Oh, God, I wish I wasn't going first.
Okay. Let's start. Hold
Okay.
on. I got to make a minor change here. We're going to go 5 rounds, and depending on time, we might go a little longer. I think we can go 5, though. That should be fine.
Yeah.
I do have a timer as well. So, if you are not ready at the end, I will just throw on the timer and we can go from there.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, I think you're going to be on the clock, Jason, first. So, are you ready?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. On the clock, go.
Okay, so I'm just picking the first one, right?
Yes.
Or am I picking all 5?
Nope, first
okay.
pick. That's it.
There's too many good ones, but I feel like it wouldn't be a N64 classic without Super Mario 64, so I'm taking that first.
Whoa, Super Mario 64, congratulations. You are the first pick in the Nintendo
Gotta
64.
take it first. I feel like there will be an obvious second pick, but I don't know what y'all are going to say.
All right, give us the quick spiel on why you picked Super Mario 64 and what makes that game great.
Okay, I think the idea with the NES and SNES was these games make the system like stand out and be really unique, and I feel like no game does that more than the Mario 64, that launch game. Shows off the analog controls, Mario in 3D, wonderful levels, great design, great music. It's the whole package.
That game,
Agreed.
I had a life-changing moment in my life with that game where
Mhm.
it was either a couple of months or a year before the Nintendo 64 came. It must have been a couple of months before. I went to a Ontario Place, which used to be like an amusement area in Toronto, and they had a Japanese Nintendo 64 before it came out with Mario 64, and I played that game and my mind just went
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
and I was like,
For
oh
sure.
my god, it's 3D, this is the future. And from
It
that
is.
point
And
on,
it was.
Yeah.
it really was.
It was.
It changed my life, and that game was
Yeah.
phenomenal. And for some reason, I don't have a copy of that game here.
You
That's
can
a
find it
whole
easy
other
enough.
story for another day.
Yeah. I think referencing back to Dark Souls earlier, like if you're talking about benchmark games, like Mario 64 is the one that it's compared to. Like, oh, is it as good as this one, or it did better in this game? So yeah, it's a good one.
All right. Okay, I'm up with the number 2 pick. I am going to be taking The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina
which one?
of Time.
Oh,
I've never actually.
that's my 1 and 2.
Okay. I don't know if this necessarily would have been my. Oh, hold on. Let me type this in. All right. Second pick, Ocarina of Time. I mean, so much of that has been said, but it was the first 3D Zelda. It revolutionized 3D action games, kind of like Mario did with the Z locking and translating the Zelda universe into 3D with the crazy elaborate puzzles and the time traveling. And it was just such a grand adventure for the time, and still holds up as one of the best Zelda games ever made, if not the best. I have very fond memories of playing that game. In particular, it is my favorite final encounter in any Zelda game ever, without spoiling anything, although that game is like 20 years old now.
That's like 20 years ago.
No, I was like,
I know what you're talking about. Really, really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to throw in there about Ocarina of Time?
JJ is on your list too.
Yeah, it was on my list too. Yeah, I really, as you said, that was like the first big for Nintendo anyway. Because I think, N64 came out around the time the PlayStation did, right? So it's kind of like you had Final Fantasy VII and then Zelda, but Zelda was just it. So that was like seeing Hyrule in 3D. And this big, like that first time walking out onto Hyrule Field was just like, this is everything that my childhood brain imagined it would be.
Mm-hmm. And that music kicks in and you get
goosebumps. Yeah. And seeing some of my favorite monsters from the Zelda series, because I used to draw them when I was in elementary school. So like seeing them, like what is it, the big spinning thing, whatever they're called, I'll have to look them up. They're in Hyrule Field, the big one. Yeah, the big thing that like spins up out of the ground and chases you down like that. I was like, holy crap, that's one of those P-hat.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It was just, it was phenomenal. Like there's a reason it's on my list too, but
yeah.
The 3DS version's better though, because they cleaned it up really nice. But I would take it on an N64 Classic for sure.
Yeah.
All right, JJ, you are up
So-
with the number 3 pick. Do you need some time?
No, I don't. So my
Okay.
pick would be Mario Kart 64.
Ooh.
I played a lot of this game, mainly with my roommate and a couple friends. We played this game so much,
Yeah.
so much. We would just plan. People, they would come over to our house and we would play. And I had a job where I had to get up really early at the time, and it was kind of a running joke where we would play all four of us until probably 10 or 11. I had to go to bed, and then for like the next couple hours, I would come out of my room, and I would hear like shh because they were still playing, and they would hear the door open, and I would hear shh. And I would come out and you have to say, "Will you guys please be quiet?" But that game, we played that game so much. Like, I don't remember many of the tracks now, but it was my introduction to Mario Kart. Sadly, I didn't play the Super Nintendo version, even though I've got an SNES Classic over here, but still, I haven't played it. But that was just fantastic. And again, it was kind of similar to The Legend of Zelda in that these are some of the first 3D games I played. Even though I wasn't a big racing fan, having this kart game, you could play 4 players, on screen together. It was just fantastic. And just I rarely laughed so much playing a game as we did playing that.
Nice. So. Yeah, it's similar to me too, but I think the story that sticks out, for me, I think Mario Kart 64 was, I guess, the start of my game collecting, because I think it's the very first game I ever bought. And
wow.
I didn't even own an N64. My brother did. So when he would come home from college and I would play it, and then he would take it with him for like 6 months and come back and play it again. But yeah, man, that game was just too cool. I remember my mom being like, "Are you sure you want to buy this game?" I'm like, "Absolutely. Like, this is the game that I want to get." And yep, it's worth it.
That game, I think the biggest innovation that game brought was that. Sorry, clearing my throat here. That was the big game that made 4-player local a thing. I think Wave Race technically did it first, but when Mario Kart 64 came out, and because consoles at the time only had 2 controller ports, Nintendo 64 had 4, and when it launched, it only had Mario 64 and Pilot Wings, which weren't 4-player. But when you got that Mario Kart and you realized you could plug 4 controllers in and 4 of your friends could play instead of 2, completely changed the dynamic of local play.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Never looked back since.
For sure. All right, Jason, we are swinging back around to you with the number 4 pick. What are you taking?
Okay, I think it's not going to be one of the top games. Well, okay, it could be, but it's a very, very good game for me. I will take Star Fox 64 for the next pick.
Whoa!
I need it. I absolutely love that game. And if we keep talking about revolutions in gaming, I think the first game with Rumble came with a Rumble pack. All the DualShocks and Forward, they all have it. But even though that game is really, really short, and you can beat it in like less than an hour, even on the hardest difficulty, I think it's super polished. Everything about it is great. There's voice acting, characters are cool. I love it. It's so good, and it's just a fun game. Like, it's complete from start to finish. It's stellar. And if you haven't played it, there's N64 Classic. It's going to be on there, so you'll enjoy it at some point.
It is the pinnacle of the Star Fox series. And yes, it is short, but you can play that game over and over again. So fun.
Yep.
It does have multiplayer, which is okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But that single player mode is so good. It also was the first game to use the Rumble pack.
Yeah, it is. Oh God, such a good game. And I know all 3 of these games so far, and Star Fox is the 4th, they all have just really good music. And I just think about going back to my childhood playing it. And it's great.
Do a barrel roll.
Right, exactly.
Sorry, someone had to do it.
It spawned so many memes. Yeah.
JJ, do you have any sort of affinity for Star Fox 64?
I actually do. I've never played Star Fox.
What?
64. Man, strike 3. There we go.
Yeah, right. You're out. I think if you look at what you said before with moving to 3D, like the jump from 1, and then technically now we have 2 to look at with the SNES Classic. But going into that game, it's just so good, and it's such an improvement from the SNES one. And it's everything about it's really solid, and I think you'll enjoy it if it's on it. If the N64 Classic exists and it's on there, you will definitely enjoy it.
Now, didn't they release it on the 3DS, or was that a different Star Fox?
Yeah, they did. No, they did.
Okay. They did. Because I might have that. I think I have that.
Okay.
It's slightly upscaled too, and if you have it, that's good because it's a hard game to find. Yeah.
So I'm not gonna debate Star Fox 64 being in the top 15. I just think burning your number 4 pick on Star Fox is, I think it's a little high. It's a little high.
Yeah, because I'm looking at your list. That's high.
I know. See, I think so too. And like, there's other games there that I know y'all have picked too. But like, if I'm making this is the one that I want on there, and I can only get 5 games, I want that game on.
Okay, we'll see how this goes. Maybe we go into the 6th round, but
yeah.
All right, moving on with the 5th pick. You left this one on the table. I'm going with GoldenEye 007.
My curse is already on it. I was like, they're gonna take that. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh man, I am so glad to have this one on my list. Although personally, I would probably take another game that may end up being drafted later. But it is one of the most definitive first-person shooters of all time. It arguably hasn't held up very well today, but at the time, it was such a revelation in game design, where first-person shooters were like Doom and Wolfenstein, where you just kind of ran through corridors really fast, just shooting everything in sight. And GoldenEye put you in the shoes of James Bond. You had objectives, you were sneaking around, you were trying to do, like, break security codes and then sneak through doors, and it really gave you that spy experience in a way that video games had not immersed you in that type of role before. And then the multiplayer, oh my goodness, 4-player split screen, just thousands of hours I've spent with friends and family playing that game to death. Facility, pistols only, proximity mines are so busted, just so much fun.
Yeah. See, oh man, I'm just thinking, like, if it was something I would want to play again, I don't know if I specifically want to play GoldenEye again. Even if it is multiplayer, 4 players, like, and I get it, but like, I see the revolution and why it's good, and I'm not discounting GoldenEye for anything. It's just like, I don't know. I think that's why I skipped over it. Also, I think Perfect Dark is superior in every possible respect.
Agreed.
But that's just me.
But within the context of making a Nintendo 64 classic, I think that GoldenEye's got to be the one.
Yeah, they would pick it over Perfect Dark, which is wrong, but they would do that.
Agreed. But with I can't burn Perfect Dark on the 5th pick.
Yeah. Fair enough.
All right, JJ.
I played GoldenEye quite a bit, not as much as Mario Kart, so it was definitely on one of my picks. But that it's if they can get Rare, it was Rare that made that, right?
Yeah.
If they can work something out with Microsoft, which I'm guessing they would have to, because there were games on the NES and NES Classic that I think they probably had to throw a little cash the way of the publishers or something. So I'm sure that it's got to be on the classic, the N64 Classic. Got to be.
All right.
All right. So mine, we're getting down to I didn't have a lot to begin with, because at some point in the N64's life, I switched to PlayStation. I know that's like a betrayal, but I was like Final Fantasy VII. But I would probably put F-Zero X as my next, because that game is. I am hoping that there is an F-Zero game coming to the Switch, because as much as I've tried some of these other, like Wipeout and those kind of games, it just doesn't feel like F-Zero to me. And there was that one game on the Switch that came out around launch. No, it's that one's not out yet, I don't think. There's one that came out around launch time.
Oh, okay. I cannot remember the name of it, but I did buy that game as well.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I mean, I bought that because it looks like F-Zero, but I'm like, it doesn't feel like F-Zero.
Fast RMX, that's the game.
Yes, that's it. Fast RMX. And it's like, I just want an F-Zero. I want another F-Zero. I mean, the Mario Kart 8 track of it's Mute City and the music and all that. I'm just like, this is as close as I'm going to get to F-Zero for now. But I'm hopeful. But that's F-Zero X. It's got to be on the N64. I mean, I think I bought it on the Wii. Was it on the Wii U Virtual Console before they shut the Wii?
Think so. Yeah.
Before they shut the Wii eShop off.
I think it's on there.
I made sure to grab it before. But yeah, so I have got it, but I need it. I need a new one. But N64, it's got to be on there. It's my number 3 pick. So
I think if you look at the N64 and just think of racing games, you're going to think of Mario Kart. And I feel like the only other choice is really F-Zero. Maybe you could stretch I like Cruis'n USA or something, but...
No, that game's trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of launched N64, but it's not good.
I'm so glad. Yeah. I had that really high on my list. I was concerned that it wouldn't make it on here at all. I'm glad it's on here. I think some people will debate F-Zero X being the number 6 pick, to which I say those people suck because F-Zero X is a fantastic game.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Their opinions don't count. Their opinions don't
They
count.
haven't played it. That's what it means.
It's so good. All right, Jason, number 7. What do you got?
Oh my god. Oh man, I'm really torn between two of them, but if I'm gonna go for games that I think really define my time with it, it has to be Banjo-Kazooie for my third pick. I know. I'm gonna write this down. I got it and you didn't. That being said, as much as I liked Banjo-Kazooie, I never played the sequel. I never played Banjo-Tooie, so I just played the first one. And I remember getting it for my birthday. It was this great big thing. It released like right when my 12th birthday came around. But that was my first real time enjoying a big platformer that wasn't Mario. And it was so cool and fun. And I thought the new enemies and characters were really neat. All the abilities you can get with Kazooie and Banjo together, the worlds. It was just really, really exciting. And I think when people think of Rare and what they used to be and what they used to mean, like that's what they mean. Like those are the games. And I think it's the definitive platformer outside of Mario that is on that system.
All right.
Prove me wrong.
I don't have much to add on the Banjo-Kazooie talk. I played very little of it, but I do have it on Rare Replay, so at some point I will get around to it. But I know a lot of people love Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, and like just realistically, I feel like it's not going to be on there because I bet they're not going to be able to get those rights or whatever it is. But yeah, it's a definitive game, deserving of any top 10 list for N64.
All right.
I never played it, so I can't comment.
Good. It's good.
In shame, my head in shame.
Yeah.
All right. I'm debating between two games. One that I think is going to be the popular pick, and one that in my heart I really want on this list. All right. I'm going to follow my heart on this one. With the number 8 pick, I'm going with WWF No Mercy.
Oh no, it's on my list. Oh god.
That many people still hail this game as the definitive wrestling game, and I would tend to agree. It's got an amazing roster from the WWF Attitude Era, your Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H, a lot of legacy wrestlers are in there. It has the best gameplay with massive movesets, one of the best creative wrestler features ever. It's got so many moves, a lot of wrestling moves that are still relevant today. And it has so many modes, cage matches, ladder matches. It's got lots of different weapons. I think you can fight backstage in there too. It's got a story mode. It's just the complete package that you would want from a wrestling game, and it's kind of sad that WWE has not been able to make anything nearly as good ever since.
Yeah, 100% agree. Did you play this one too, JJ, or no?
No, I'm not generally a sports fan or a wrestling fan. The last wrestling game I played was NES Pro Wrestling, so that's the last.
Man,
back.
The Nintendo 64.
A winner is
come
you.
a long way.
A winner is you, Jet.
Yeah.
The Nintendo 64 era of wrestling games, particularly the Aki-made games, so your Revenge and WrestleMania 2000, WCW versus NWO World Tour, No Mercy. Like, you don't WrestleMania 2000. Like, you don't really have to be a fan of wrestling. If you like to see people, if you like to play games where you beat other people up, it is like top notch.
Yeah, that's good. And I think like my brothers and I have two older brothers. We would play this game constantly, and we would always jump into like 40-man Royal Rumbles, like
yes,
for like 2 hours, like every night. And like, I remember having to pause it to go down for dinner and all that. But getting back to what you said earlier, Jet, like the creator player is really, really cool. And they obviously thought it through because they added a whole bunch of stuff like I think there's moves for like characters that aren't even in the game, like there's
so
signature
many
moves, but they're in the creative player, and like they obviously want you to make like, you know, Hulk Hogan or whatever. I don't remember who it is, but like they're there. And so we would have like, you know, controller packs with, like, you remember memory cards? We would have those guys just loaded with all these wrestlers. Just, oh man, it was so good.
Yeah, it was so comprehensive. You can go online right now and look at like No Mercy create a character list, and if it's like you want to make someone that's not in the game, if you want to make Hulk Hogan, it'll give you move for move every single move to pick, and it'll just be
like
Hulk
40
Hogan.
moves. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
It's fantastic.
I also liked how you would have like Mankind, but you could change his skin and you could be like, you know, Cactus Jack and all that stuff.
Dude Love.
Dude Love. Yeah. That was cool too. And they had the sprite of the pictures for him and everything. Yeah. It's cool.
JJ, number 9.
Yeah,
We're
gushing
over halfway
time.
through this draft. What do you got?
Yeah, so I don't know if my remaining picks are going to be that popular, but so I will probably have to put Majora's Mask. It's my next pick.
All right.
I never finished that game, and I got it on 3DS and got even less far. But it was just one of those. I remember it being like, wow, this is like a dark, scary Zelda. And man, the world is ending every 3 days, and this is kind of weird. But it was still Legend of Zelda though, and I think if they part of my choices when as I said, I didn't play a ton of N64 games, so I was kind of like I scrolled through that whole list to be like, which ones have I played? Let me just throw those on here as a reminder. But part of my list was like, okay, what did they do with the NES and SNES Classic? I loved what they did there. I'm like, they're probably gonna have to put the 2 Zelda games on there. They got to. And Majora's Mask, there's not really been a Zelda game like that since then. And it was like such a unique experience that, yeah, I mean, again, and some of these games have had remakes. So will they put those games on an N64 Classic? It's like, well, it doesn't matter. It'd be nice to have that original one on the N64. And it would still be, they generally kind of up-res these things a little bit, at least, 1080p, I think, right? But yeah, so that's I would put that. Obviously, it's lower on my list, but I'd say it's got to be on there on JJ's list, I should say.
Yeah, totally agree with you. No arguments there.
I've only played a few hours of Majora's Mask. I bought it on launch, and I played it for a few hours at the time and was like, this is really weird, and I don't like this time thing at all. I feel too much pressure, and then I never played it again. That's
pretty much why I stopped. Yeah, it's too much pressure.
Really? You both never beat it?
Yeah.
No.
I barely
It's
started.
great though. I love what they tried to do with it, and I, great respect for that game. But it's like, I could not play through it without a guide this time. I had to look up stuff. Yeah. Like in that first town when I got on 3DS, I had to look up like, what do I do? I don't know what to do. I'm like, man. But it's a classic still.
Yeah, I think there's so many analysis between like Ocarina and Majora's Mask, but I think if you look at them, like Majora's Mask is such a slow burn, and like once he gets there, it's really cool. It's probably like your Dark Souls reference. Like once you get to that point where you cross the threshold, you're like, whoa, that's cool. Or seeing the characters move and how they interact within the 3 days it's really neat. Good storytelling and it's good.
All right, so we're 3 rounds in. Let's do a quick recap. Number 1 pick, Super Mario 64. Number 2, Ocarina of Time. Number 3, Mario Kart 64. Number 4, a little bit of a surprise here, Star Fox 64. Great game. Maybe a little higher than I would have thought.
No bias.
On the projections, when we did the mock drafts, our analyst had Star Fox 64 going a little higher. But hey, JJ or Jason might see something that other people haven't. Number 5, GoldenEye 007. Another surprise pick, F-Zero X at number 6. I think that's the sleeper of the draft. Number 7, Banjo-Kazooie. Number 8, WWF No Mercy. Maybe a little bit of a surprise, but the wrestling fans know. If anything, it should be higher. And number 9, Majora's Mask. So we've only got 6 picks left.
Oh, man.
And there are some big name games that we have not put on this list. And
we're going to round out the top 10.
There are my final 2 picks. I'm leaning towards stuff that may not be in the consensus, but I really want to see it on a Nintendo 64 Classic than some of the big names that are still waiting in the green room, waiting for their name to be called and walk on stage and get their cap to say that they're on in it. So
yeah.
Jason, number 10 pick. What do you got?
You have to give me a timer.
Okay.
Oh man, I'm between like 3 of them, and I keep telling myself like I want games that are that like define my experience.
That's fine. I think that's where I'm going ultimately. I'm following my heart.
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
I think I made a mistake putting so many down here. Okay, I think if I have to go with my experience, I am gonna go with the only real RPG I can think of on there and pick Paper Mario for number 10.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. Lock that in. Yeah. So if y'all haven't played the series, it's great. But it was essentially the successor to the Super Mario RPG on the SNES, which I think is on the SNES Classic. So hooray.
Mm-hmm.
But it's different. But it really carves out its own sort of style in the terms of Mario RPGs and how it all works. And I think it's loved and cherished by a lot of people, so much so that even during the convention we had last week, one of my friends and I were just talking about the series in general. And the things that we like about it is that it takes brand new characters and puts them into these fun situations where it's actually relevant that you care about those characters. So while the Mario and Luigi series nowadays is more about like fun sort of action and how you combat enemies and the jovialness between Mario and Luigi, the original Paper Mario was more about like just the fun characters and good writing and a fun story. And so it kind of makes sense. Like I think it even opens as like a story book. So it's this neat adventure that's told, I don't know, through this paper aesthetic, and it's really fun, really cute, and I think it's a solid choice.
Okay.
Running out number 10, it's good.
I never played it because I have it here. My brother played it and loved it and loves that whole series. At the time I loved Super Mario RPG, and I saw this was not Super Mario RPG 2, and I said no thank you. But
that's totally legitimate. Like that's such a valid point. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I never played it either, but it was on my list because it's one of those games that I've been told I need to play it, and I'm like, well, make it easy for me to play it. Put it on N64 Classic. It may have been on one of the other virtual consoles, so I might actually have it. But yeah, so it's one of those I can't argue with that pick at all because I've heard nothing but good things about it. So
yeah, I mean, it launches a RPG franchise that even had its own spin-off, and I mean, it's Mario. Like, what else are you gonna say?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, we're getting it down to it. 5 picks left. Some big games still on the board. I'm gonna throw some names out there, some games that may not make the cut. Super Smash Bros. Is still floating out there. Wave Race 64 is still floating out there. 1080 Snowboarding,
Literally.
Banjo-Tooie, Diddy Kong Racing.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah. Conker's Bad Fur Day still out there. Sin and Punishment still out there. The Turok series. Some may not see that as a big thing, but I know that game held a lot of weight at the time. Still out there. None of the Mario parties have made our list, and I would argue that the best Mario Party game was on the Nintendo 64. We'll see.
These games were on my list. We just have to pick them one at a time.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll get there.
With the number 11 pick, I'm going to take Mario Golf.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
I love this game so much. I'm generally not a sports video game guy, but like Mario Golf is so fantastic. They got like the perfect balance of arcade golfing action with simulation mechanics. Like I felt like every shot, like with all the variables of like wind and the types of clubs and your arc, like you could perfectly control every single shot. But then it still had fantastical courses to compensate for the realism of your shooting. The golfers had a wide variety of different shooting styles, whether people would hook or slice their shots, different strengths. Yeah. I love the power shot system on that, of having to time it just right. And it had a bunch of amazing courses and modes to play in single player or multiplayer. And I love Mario Golf 64 in particular because after that, like the GameCube game, I thought got a little too wacky with the power-ups. And yeah. I'm kind of a Mario Golf purist in that I liked it when it was more realistic. But Mario Golf on the Nintendo 64, still a phenomenal game.
Yeah. Not sure how JJ feels on this guy, but I agree with you. It's good. I really debated between Mario Golf and Mario Tennis making my little short list.
Also on my short list.
I ended up picking neither of them, but no, it's solid. And it's by Camelot, so if you played like Hot Shots Golf, it's the same idea. But yeah, no, it's good, man. And I think it's the right blend of arcade and realness and the Mario zest that makes it good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have not played that one either, but I almost put it on my list just because I know that the people say it's really good. But I tried to keep my list too. These are games I played that actually have meaning to me. So yeah, but can't argue with it.
That's fair. All right, JJ with the number 12 pick. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so this is mainly for nostalgia for me because I think I don't remember it being that good. But there's some games on the NES and SNES Classic that I don't think are great. At least the memory of them is better than trying to play them now in 2018 . But I have to say Excite Bike 64.
Yes.
That's a good one.
I love the original Excite Bike. Played it with my brothers all the time. And it was one of those games which the N64 was great. There were a bunch of games like this, and we've mentioned a few already, where one of my favorite NES series, oh my gosh, it's in 3D now. This is so amazing. And like some of the tracks that were designed like the old 2D tracks, just the lanes, and it was just straight, and the word angular hills that you would go over, and it was just I don't think it was that great, but I just remember being blown away because like it's Excite Bike and whenever the N64 came out, that was just one of those games that it was just like, this is the future.
Right.
I will fight you.
Go on.
I will fight you on that point. Excite Bike 64 is awesome, and it is one of the most slept on games on the Nintendo 64. Once again, like the dirt bike racing on it is just like fantastic, and it had its stunt mode, and so many people just don't even know this game exists, and it's so much better than the Excite Bike everybody knows, which is actually trash. But that Excite Bike 64 is just like a fully fleshed out dirt bike racing game, and it does everything well.
Yeah. I think it was, of all these games, I think it's the only one. Oh no, I don't. I also don't know Mario Golf, but I own the rest of them. But I remember renting Excite Bike, and the thing that stands out most to me is that crazy side mode where you're trying to go up that mountain. That's Excite Bike 64, right? When you pretty much go like straight up to try to get it. Oh, that was so fun, and it reminds me a lot of the Trials games now. The same sort of idea where you don't want to fall off, and that was really cool. That was a fun game.
All right.
Oh shit, it's me again.
So this is, unless you guys want to go one more round. Do you guys want to go one more round after this, or are we good?
I don't think I have anything else after this round. So
okay,
we can finish up.
But you guys can do one more
honorable mentions.
Okay.
The honorable mentions, yeah.
Okay. So, Jason, with your final pick, rounding out your squad of Super Mario 64, Star Fox 64, Banjo-Kazooie, Paper Mario, what is the 13th pick of the Nintendo 64 game draft?
Oh my god. I feel like oh man. All right, I'm gonna take my sleeper hit, I guess, and not choose a Nintendo game.
Ooh.
I know, but I absolutely loved Harvest Moon 64.
Whoa!
So I am picking that,
Whoa!
which I know I will never be on the actual
off the board
N64 Classic. Yeah,
wow.
I know. So if you never played Harvest Moon 64, it's essentially the reason why you have Stardew Valley. But no, it's a farming sim, and I think it's essentially like a semi-enhanced port of I think Back to Nature on the PS1. But it's N64, and it's the first time I ever played it, and I loved that game. And I think it was the sim game I ever enjoyed. It's very relaxing. It's fun. It has really cute art style. And I just remember not knowing why I liked it so much, but I couldn't stop playing it. And like every time I would come home, I would just be like, man, I gotta go to my farm and do this stupid game again. And it was just so fun, and like being able to like get a wife and like raise your farm and just you see your success go forward. It's a different feeling than when you collect like a star in Mario 64. It feels more like you worked to earn this as opposed to you figured out like a puzzle. And I liked it, and I think I don't know, it has a special place in my like gaming catalog for that reason. And if they had an N64 Classic, that would be a big surprise, which I guarantee won't be on there, but I would like it if it is.
Wow.
It could be. I mean, I haven't played it. Surprise. I haven't played it, but I'm thankful for it if Stardew Valley is the result of that game. But no, I mean, I think it's like there are some choices on the NES and SNES classics that I'm like, that was an interesting choice, but I see why they did that. So I mean, Harvest Moon could very well be one of those that makes it.
Yeah,
but
that's true. Yeah.
I've never played a Harvest Moon game. I haven't played Stardew. So I don't really have anything to contribute there, but other than like, holy crap, it made it on this list, and there are some other huge Nintendo games that are gonna make this cut because we only got 2 picks.
I passed on some other games that have 64 in the title. So.
Oh man. For people who are watching this right now thinking like, oh man, is Mario Party going to make it on this list? Is Smash Bros. Going to make it on this list? How about Conker's Bad Fur Day? You're going to have to rely on JJ for that, because with the number 14 pick, I am taking Pokemon Puzzle League.
Oh, not Pokemon Snap?
No. Oh, we haven't even talked about Pokemon Snap.
It's on my list, yeah.
Too late.
No. Yep, so, you already picked it.
For people who haven't played Pokemon Puzzle League, it is basically the Pokemon version of Tetris Attack, also known as Puzzle League in North America, or Panel de Pon, which is a match 3 puzzle game where blocks are coming up from the ground and you're trying to match the shapes in rows of 3. So this is that game. If you've played Tetris Attack, and you know this is a phenomenal puzzle game. It is one of the best, maybe the best competitive puzzle game that I've ever played. One of my favorites. I was actually streaming this with my brother. Not Pokemon Puzzle League. I was streaming Tetris Attack with my brother like a week or two ago. And like I just love the risk reward of you can push your blocks up to the top, which gives you more blocks to create chains. But of course, you're giving yourself like very little room. If they dump one garbage block on you, you're screwed. And so this pretty much just throws a Pokemon skin on top of it. But it also includes a 3D mode, so instead of just like a row of 6, it actually does like a full sphere all the way around of like 20 or 30 blocks. So you have this massive play field to play along.
That's cool.
And because I love Puzzle League, that particular game so much, I want a version of it on the Nintendo 64 Classic, especially since Tetris Attack did not make it on the SNES Classic because of rights issues. Nintendo doesn't own the Tetris name. But it did end up on the Japanese Super Famicom Classic, so I'm still salty about that and debating buying one of those.
Buy one.
Yeah.
This is number 14 is admittedly the first game I have not played.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah. Have you played Tetris Attack? Or
yes. Yeah, I have. Okay. I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no comment, but it sounds like a game I would want to play.
Yeah.
Because I generally like those type of, Tetris-y games. But they have to be interesting. They can't just be like, oh, it's basically Tetris, but not called Tetris. But it's something that changes up the formula. So that sounds like something I would. So I hope it makes it on the actual N64 Classic. Actually,
I think it's a lock. I think. Well,
I mean, Pokemon makes sense, but I like Pokemon Snap. I don't know.
Yeah, I know Nintendo does love Panel de Pon, and they put it out on everything. It was in the last Animal Crossing game in some form.
Yeah.
So they do love it. They just can't pull the best version of it out because of the Tetris name attached to it. But they do roll it out every time they can. So I think this one's a pretty safe bet.
You're just convincing yourself. So
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. All right, JJ. Last pick.
All right.
There are some big games still on the table. What are you taking?
I know. So I still got to go with my nostalgia for my list. So I'm going to upset some people, I think.
Do it.
But again, I think this falls in there with Excitebike 64 probably. But I named Excitebike before this one because it's probably the better game. But I gotta say Pilot Wing 64.
Whoa!
Only because it was one of those like, when Pilot Wings hit the SNES, it was like Mode 7, look, and it was like this kind of faux 3D, that a lot of the SNES games had, but now on the N64, I've said before, like, oh, now it's really 3D. You can fly around this island, and so I don't think if I played it now, probably wouldn't be so impressed with it.
Yeah.
But the nostalgia, I'm just like, I would want it just because it's like, it was one of the first games that I played. I think I should have looked up when these games launched, but
I feel like that was a launch.
Pilot Wings.
I want to say it was an early release.
It was one of the 2 launch games for the Nintendo 64.
Okay, yeah. So it was. I may have ended up getting actually Mario 64 first. I mean, who would?
Like everybody else.
Like everybody else, yeah. But
you made the right. That's why it's number 1 and not number.
That's why it's number 1. Yeah. But it was, it was just another one of those games that it was basically a sequel. Or the 3D version of this game you played before on the SNES. So,
right.
It was just, that was part of my N64 history. So even if it sucks, it's got to be in my list.
Yeah.
Wow,
man.
And so that concludes the Nintendo 64 game draft. That is a crazy list, if I may say so myself. Let's pull up the final board here. Oh, I'm sorry, JJ, I messed up your head here in this final video. But let's round it up from the top. First pick, Super Mario 64. Number 2, Ocarina of Time. Number 3, Mario Kart 64. Number 4, Star Fox 64. Number 5, GoldenEye 007. Number 6, F-Zero X. Number 7, Banjo-Kazooie. Number 8, WWF No Mercy. Number 9, Majora's Mask. Number 10, Paper Mario. Number 11, Mario Golf. Number 12, Excitebike 64. Number 13, Harvest Moon 64. Number 14, Pokemon Puzzle League. And number 15, Pilot Wings 64.
I'd buy that.
So before we talk about snubs, what do you guys think of this? What do you guys think of this order from 1 to 15?
I mean, solid. Like, I think, like, no offense to Pilot Wing 64, but I think, like, if we're counting down to the best ones, I feel like, yeah, it kind of makes sense that you go down. But, like, I mean, as you were counting them off, Jed, I'm just thinking, like, yeah, all these games are Nintendo games besides, like, 3 or 4 of them. But, like, I mean, that's what makes the console, you know? Like, and they're all, like, so many of them are just definitive versions of the entire series in many respects. And I think that's really, really good. And that's just a characteristic of the system and the quality of the games that are on there. So, I mean, we could probably add 15 more and still have a solid set.
Yep. We are going to talk about snubs right now. And I got to throw this right off the top. Smash Bros. Did not make the list. Guys, why didn't you pick Smash Bros?
I've never actually played that Smash Brothers.
Oh, really?
I know, and again, yeah, I know you guys. I'm fired already. I'm already first and last time on the show. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's one of those games that I just was not. I'm not into fighting games really. Huge into Nintendo characters, obviously, but every time it wasn't my turn, I would stare at Super Smash Brothers there on my screen. I'm just like, someone's got to pick that because, and I almost put it on my list just because I'm like, it's just a huge game. I should put it on my list, but I'm like, I never played it.
Yeah. See, I mean, like if you look at all the Smashes, like it's the worst one, but it's still really, really fun, and I liked it. But I think if I'm looking at, I don't know what games I would really want to see again. Kind of like GoldenEye, I don't specifically know if I'd want to play that again. Yeah. I mean, I would play it because Samus is amazing and Link is really cool, but there's just better versions of those games, and it just hasn't aged all too well. But again, it's not discounting how good it is. I just wouldn't want it there.
I love Smash on the 64. I played so much of that back in the day, and this game is guaranteed to be on the Nintendo 64 Classic and will get played like crazy. And I find it crazy. I guess just the nature of the draft and why I was really excited to do this is that everyone has their own personal opinions, and maybe Smash Brothers just didn't have an impact on us as it would to many other people out there. And so that's why a game like Smash Brothers did not make the cut, shockingly. I think I would have picked that next if we had gone one more round. Actually, no, I wouldn't have picked that next because I would have picked Perfect Dark.
Perfect Dark.
Even with GoldenEye on my list, I would pick Perfect Dark even though you're doubling up the gameplay, Perfect Dark is the better game in every way.
I think if we kept, okay, I'm just gonna, I guess my next ones that are on there. So I was really, really, really debating, even from like number 2 onward, if I wanted Wave Race to be on there, because I love Wave Race 64.
It kills me that I didn't pick that.
Yeah, like it's such a good one, but like again, like it's pretty short. Mario Kart's kind of better, so I don't know, but that's a fun game. And then I was also really torn between Jet mentioned it, Mario Party 2, because I mean, like I'm assuming the N64 Classic, okay, A comes out and B has 4 controller ports, like that would be a great game to have on there.
Yeah. I think realistically, the one they're gonna go with is Mario Party 2. Because
I think it makes sense.
You can't put Mario Party 1 on there and just have people with the destroyed palms. Yeah. Man,
that's true.
That is such a crazy story. If anyone doesn't know, I should pull out. Actually, let me pull out a Nintendo 64 controller for this demonstration.
Yeah. I can tell you the story. So if y'all don't know the
game
he's
I dropped
talking
the house.
about. Oh, the house.
And I pulled out my headphones. This is bad. All bad.
If you don't know the game he's talking about, there's one where you need to
Yep.
You need to spin the control stick like to
Okay.
move a bicycle to light a light, and then if you like if you don't do it fast enough, like a boo will catch you.
All right.
And
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
yeah,
So
so like the yeah, go ahead.
So you're spinning the stick, right? This is not particularly fast, even with the thumb. Not great.
Yeah.
People realized that if you put your palm on it like this and go like this, you can go very quickly. But then everyone just had this giant blister on their hand, and it became such a problem that Nintendo started packing a glove with the game to
Or you
protect
could
people from doing
get
it.
one. Yeah.
I did not get a glove.
That's
I
kinda
just got
funny.
the blisters.
Yeah, same. And you know that
kinda
glove in collector circles is highly coveted. So if you have one, that glove. I think it was even branded. I think it said like Nintendo, so it was cool.
Oh man,
Wow.
I've never seen the glove IRL.
Yeah, same. The Holy Grail.
Other games that
Oh.
did not make the cut, Mario Tennis, that was mentioned.
Yeah.
I once again another one of those, like, Nintendo nailed it on the Nintendo 64 with the balance of arcade and sim, and then they went a little too far down the deep end.
Yeah,
I am excited to see where Mario Tennis Aces goes, though.
yeah, me too.
It looks still a little too wacky for me, but then they also have the mode where you can turn all that off, and then it's got the RPG elements like the Game Boy games that I
Yes.
really like.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Any snubs your way, JJ, that you can think of?
No, because like I said, my list was not very long. I didn't play a ton, so but some of it was just these. I'm surprised. Well, no, Wave Race 64, like you mentioned, because I do remember playing that, and that
Mhm.
almost made my list. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just think there were better games that have actually held up better than Wave Race 64. I think so.
Yeah, I agree. I think the other snub that was kind of mentioned so far was any of the Turok games. I feel like Turok was great. Turok 2 was amazing. I didn't actually play much of 3 or that Rage Wars one, but I think that those games were really good.
Rage Wars we ran into a game breaking glitch in that game where
Really?
if you go down a very specific path, the game just like you'll play the level, you'll beat the level, but the game will say you failed, and there's nothing you can do to get out of it.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, of course.
Well, that's why that game's not on the list. Yeah.
Some other big snubs. No one has mentioned Diddy Kong Racing at all.
Yeah.
That was
Oh, that's right.
maybe to this day still the most ambitious kart racer of all time.
Mhm.
In the
Kart racer, hover kart racer, it's everything.
got the airplanes. You got boss fights in that game. I'm not the biggest fan of Diddy Kong Racing, but I acknowledge all the awesome things it did at the time.
Yeah,
And that
yeah, for sure.
rights are going to be a problem with that one, but that should definitely be on the Nintendo 64 Classic. Is there any other ones? I mentioned
Pokemon Snap.
Yes, Pokemon Snap is another fun one. I don't think that game's particularly great, but people love that game and have a great nostalgia for it.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I feel like if that jumps on an N64 Classic, then Pokemon Snap 2 on the Switch is gonna happen. Calling it today.
Okay.
All right, I just remembered a couple which I don't think they will make it on a classic, but the first-person shooter trilogies of Quake, Doom, and Hexen. As I was scrolling down that list, I was like, man, these were, because I remember when they were coming out, I was like, man, these are violent for a Nintendo console, but it was like the fact that those games made it on a Nintendo console back then at all, I remember being shocked. I think I had Doom, which I should have put that on my list, but yeah, they were just, because Nintendo was never really known for having mature video games on their systems for a long time, so that was kind of a big deal, I thought. But
yeah.
My brother, it was actually really weird. We rented Hexen when my brother was like 5 or 6 years old, and he ended up buying that game, which at the time it was rated M for mature. So he probably should have been playing that game. Yeah, but we really liked that game at the time. I don't know if it holds up now, but
yeah, I don't know if it holds up either.
Yeah. The other ones, 2 more that I can think of off my phone list here. Sin and Punishment, which came out at the very end of the Nintendo 64 in Japan, never made it to North America until it came out on the Wii Virtual Console. And that game is pretty dope, having played it after the fact. It's this sort of like shooter, kind of like sort of Star Fox 64, except it's a dude running and flying in space. and you're just trying to shoot everything that moves, and the last level is like shooting a giant planet or something. I can't remember what it was exactly, but that game is dope as hell. And the last one I can think of that probably got snubbed is Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yeah. See, I never played it, so I was like, I never got around to it, and I don't know, Banjo. That's all you got.
Yeah, but come on, man, Great Mighty Pooh and all the coursing.
That's true. No one picked StarCraft 64.
No.
That was on there, wasn't it, man?
Yeah, a random game.
Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero. I'm sorry.
Oh.
War Gods. I'm sorry. Clay Fighter 63 and a third. Fighter's Destiny.
Hey, whoa! Let's not say things you can't take back.
Another deep cut. Do you guys remember Battle Tanks?
Yeah, I remember that one.
That game was pretty
Yeah,
good.
I think so.
Or Blast Corps. That was a good one.
That's
too.
another good
Blast
one.
Corps was good, yeah.
Oh
That
man,
was
should I
good.
put that on there? Oh,
Do over.
Yeah.
We gotta stop. Yeah.
Okay, that was a lot of fun. I really
Yes.
enjoyed that. We will probably do this draft format for something else at some point. Maybe it's a different console or games or just something completely different. One of my favorite podcasts of all time is OneUp.com had this podcast called The Sports Anomaly, and they did the Star Wars draft, where you could draft any person, place, thing, or concept in the Star Wars universe. And with the first pick, the guy who had the first pick, of all the things in the Star Wars universe,
The Force.
he picked Slave Leia.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
He was 12,
Yeah.
right? Was he 12 years
Right,
old?
yeah.
Was it?
Oh my gosh.
Boy.
Whew. All right, that is going to do it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as we did making it. I had a lot of fun chatting with you
Yeah, me
guys
too.
on
For sure.
new games
Same here.
and going down memory lane on the Nintendo 64. Maybe by the time you watch this, Nintendo will have revealed the Nintendo 64 Classic, and all of the games we mentioned are on it because we are psychic and just
That
have
would be
great
amazing.
taste.
Yeah.
I love you guys, but I don't. That's not gonna happen.
And so before we go, Jason, is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah. So my friend, getting back to the cosplay, he's working on our photos for them, so we'll get those up to the blog soon. Possibly looking at another outlet, maybe Instagram, getting that going too for video gaming stuff. So we'll see how it goes.
Great. JJ, anything you want to shout out or plug?
Just my YouTube channel. It's JJ Mahoney 007, and yes, it was a Bond reference, probably from
Perfect.
GoldenEye.
Yeah, let's
probably
just-
remembering GoldenEye when I picked that way back when.
Yeah.
I stream occasionally. I don't put my face when I stream, but there's lots of Dark Souls, Bloodborne videos, from boss battles and stuff. So you can check it out, subscribe if you want. If not, it's cool.
No, subscribe.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
And I'll shout out my site, inthirdperson.com. I made a video feature actually on a little known NES game that has a really holds a very special spot in my heart. And so it was my first produced video feature, and I'm really proud of that one. So definitely check that out on inthirdperson.com. It's a game that if you played in old Nintendo games and you're like, I've played all the great ones, you probably haven't played this one. So I'm not going to tell you what it is either. You have to go watch the video.
Gotta go. I'm literally gonna go right after this because I'm very
Going right now,
intrigued.
same here.
Yeah.
Okay, so for Jason and JJ and myself, we are Boss Rush episode 2, and we'll see you guys later. We're probably gonna do an E3 one.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be on the day that Nintendo does theirs. I'll be back from wedding anniversary stuff then, and we'll recap all the conferences and stuff. And then at some point down the road, we will do another draft because this was awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
It's fun. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
All right. So that's it. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Good night.